Hello, everyone. This is the Ask Me Anything About My Travels series, and you should pay attention because you can be an expert traveler along with being happier and be more amazing. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me for another Ask Me Anything series. I'm joined by my little Sri Lankan friend, my little Sri Lankan mask friend. And I hope that you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. I'm upgrading, or at least trying to upgrade a little bit, because I got some feedback that people don't really like looking at my fridge too much. I love my fridge, but I know you guys don't really particularly care about my fridge as much as I do. Plus, I realize that I have a lot to show you guys, even just around my house. I know I got in the background now, I got some other masks from Bali. I have another Sri Lankan mask. This little guy, our little friend, we'll start with him. He's the mask of courage from Sri Lanka, carved by one of my really good friends, Ranjit, that I met on the beach, and is also part of the podcast. And then we got a little other way. We got a little tree of life from South Africa, and then also a wine horn from Georgia. So I got lots of stuff to show you, and I hope that I can really present each one to you guys in each individual video. If you guys would like that, let me know. Give me a thumbs up. And we'll start, with this guy. I already gave a little bit, but these little masks are hilarious to me because they're so, I don't know, so colorful, so pretty, so and so contradictory to what Sri Lanka means to me. The Sri Lankan people are super nice, friendly, wonderful people. This looks kind of aggressive, doesn't it? Probably it's a ceremonial mask for courage, like I said before, and one of my favorite pieces because it is so, I don't know, so vibrant and so full of life. So there's my first piece from Sri Lanka. Definitely go to Sri Lanka if you have a chance. But I thought this little mix up was a great way to introduce my topic for today, which is how to record your trip. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on all the time when you travel, especially for an extremely long time. And there's so many different ways to record and not only share but also keep the memories for yourself. And I wanted to go through some of my favorite ways, me and Jackie's favorite ways, to record our travels as we were going around the world, and hopefully you can incorporate a little bit into your guys's travels as well and really keep those memories with you. Now, the main one that people usually fall back on are photos and videos. Those usually are the two main ones that people take, and photos and videos are great, don't get me wrong, but I think we can do better. Photos and videos tend to get lost in the archives, and it doesn't matter how much you post on the social media, they still tend to disappear. And I think there's a couple of ways that we can be creative with our photos and videos that can really take our memories to the next level and keep them around us all the time. So one of the things that we started doing and fell into when we were traveling, we were taking all these pretty photos and videos, is Jackie found an application called GIMP, which is Photoshop, but an open source platform. So it's completely free. You can use it for free. It works on Windows. I think it works for Mac as well, but I would have to double check. But one of the things that we really love to do is take our photos and manipulate them in very, very tiny ways. But when we have downtime at airports and stuff, we really like to do it. And with these photos, we were able to superimpose them on fun stuff like coasters. So this is a photo that Jackie actually took and then splashed a little bit of color, put a black and white layer, and then took out the black and white layer to put some color, and actually made it into a piece that we can now carry with us all the time. So this is some of the stuff that we need to, or that we really like to think about now that we're back, but also using those photos and videos to make something fun. It could be a digital frame. It could be the what am I thinking of? The backdrop, not the backdrop, but the thing on your Apple TV when it goes to sleep and it plays all the pictures. That thing, the slideshow. It could be a slideshow to many different things, the backgrounds of your phones, your computers, all of that. Make sure that you're incorporating those photos and videos. Don't let them just get lost into the data stream that is your cloud software. But the other one, if you don't really want to manipulate photos and videos, sometimes that is a big learning curve. Objects are such a fun way, and there's so many different ways outside of the typical tourist
things that you can get if that's not your thing. I know that people love their patches, their magnets, and all of that, but there are also other really wonderful things that you can collect, like my walls here, that can really remind you of your trip at any point, and you can keep them in your home. And there's something about objects for me that really just bring me back to the space, even more than photos and videos, which are just snapshots. But somehow objects really give me a complete memory where holding it, feeling it, I can see where I was, I can see where I got it, what happened that day. And being surrounded by all these objects that have such great memories is a really wonderful part of my existence. So here's a couple of categories of objects that you might be able to look at if the typical tourist trinkets aren't exactly your thing. The first one is jewelry. If you really do like jewelry, and I don't care if you're a guy, a girl, man, woman, whatever, jewelry can be a really important part of travel and the things that you collect, because they do hold a lot of significance, especially when it comes to different cultures and different religions, different parts of the world, all of that good stuff. And I know Jackie was really into a lot of the jewelry, some rings, gems, especially from our Sri Lanka, right? Our Sri Lanka friends are amazing with their gems. They're very gem rich. And also rings from Greece, things from Bali, or things from Indonesia, wherever. And actually, one of my favorite things that I've collected on my trip was actually what I'm wearing around my neck. And this little guy is something that I wore during not only all my travels, but all my transportation days, because it was a good luck charm. So what it is just a simple little piece of jade that I found. I found this piece of jade on a beach in New Zealand. I got it verified by a local carving shop, and they actually made a necklace for me. So something as simple as that can really conglomerate all of your amazing memories in a place like New Zealand into one tiny little piece, and doesn't take any data space. It just wears around your neck and reminds you of all the wonderful things that you've been able to do. So really, jewelry, it doesn't really matter if you're a guy or a girl. I think many guys would probably, or girls would wear something small and intricate like this, or you can go bigger and get something, some rings, some other stuff. Jewelry is a really common theme throughout the world and something that you can collect. One of my favorites is wall art. It's not, Jackie calls it impractical art, but I personally love it because, I mean, it brightens up your home, and a lot of different cultures really think about wall art in completely different ways. So if you think about Europe, you think about really elaborate paintings. Especially when you go down to Italy, the Michelangelos of the world, they have some really intense and wonderfully realistic paintings. But then you also have masks like the tribes of South Africa or even Sri Lanka, and then or maybe even just the fabrics that come out of different parts of the world. They can create really masterful pieces of wall art that you can carry around the world. And I hope to show you guys a lot of what I've been collecting across the world, because it has been a really fun adventure, and I have such a weird collection of stuff that I can hang on my walls now. So wall art is another really common theme. You'll see it in a lot of tourist areas, and it's not necessarily that expensive. Sometimes, especially in developing countries, I've been able to get a really good quality painting, maybe not completely 100% authentic, but a really, really good wall painting for around 10 to 15 to $20 a piece. So it's not that as expensive. It's not a huge burden on your finances to collect wall art, and you never really know what you might find. In fact, my through this South no, I'm pointing the wrong way again. This South African tree is actually a rim of some kind of bike or scooter, probably a scooter, that they wove wire into to create a tree. So it was just a homegrown. This guy would do this art and sell it as his job. It was a really great experience to be with him, to talk with him, and then I got the piece. So wall art, definitely one of the things. And I sort of gave away the last one, but fabric from all over the world can change just drastically. And if you're into fabric, collecting fabric can be a really wonderful way to remember your trip, because not only do you get all of these unique styles, colors, and just textiles in general, but you can use them to create your own art projects, make new clothes, you can make your own wall art pieces, you can you can photo impose your photos onto the different fabrics of the place. It's really, uh, you can do pretty much anything with fabric if you put your mind to it, and it really gives you a project to do back home while also remembering your trip. So objects are a great way to record your trip, record the memories that you make on a trip. I actually personally like them more than photos and videos because you get a piece, already completed piece, to take home with you, and you really remember so much more when you hold a piece of art or a piece that you've collected rather than just snapping a photo. I know it might be weird, but it's true. The one downside of collecting objects, especially if you're on the road for a long time, is that you have to ship them home. There's not a lot of room in the backpack, and you're probably already stuffed with the stuff that you already have. So carrying around extra objects can be very difficult. Luckily, shipping costs around the world are usually not as extreme as the Western world. Now, if you're in Europe, sometimes you'll get a hefty fee, but it's probably not going to be too much as long as you're in reason. A painting is not that heavy, so you can ship it quite easily. Also, maybe if you have friends in an embassy, I know that we ran into that situation at one time. Shipping costs through the embassy can be really cheap. We shipped home a Moroccan rug, which was very, very heavy, for around $30. So check out the local embassy as well if you're in a city that has one, or a consulate. They might be able to help you out with shipping. And the other one that's not so intensive, not so space intensive, is journaling. Journaling is still one of my favorite things to record memories because you just get to record your mindset in a spot, which is really powerful. If you don't, because with, I don't know, with a photo, you see the thing, but you don't exactly know what your mindset, the mindset that you were in starts to fade. You don't really remember what you were thinking at the time the photo or video was taken. But if you write down your thoughts, then not only can you bring yourself back to the moment when you write down your thoughts and see everything, but you also bring yourself back to the mindset that you had when you were seeing everything, which is extremely powerful. Now, journaling can be a really intensive task as well, but not only is it worth it, but there's different ways to do it and go about it. And these are the couple things that I did when journaling. And I had a virtual journal on Evernote, which with one device is completely free. You can write down as many notes as you want. As text ones, there's a data limit, but with text notes, you're not going to reach that limit. I tried, and I wasn't even anywhere close. But there's a couple different ways I use my virtual journal. And the first one, which is my favorite, is what I like to call a thought journal. And the thought journal is really anytime that you have a random thought that really strikes you, go ahead and write it down. It doesn't have to be a long note. It doesn't have to be, it could be 2 words. It could be a sentence. It could be a manifesto. It could be a complete book. It doesn't matter. Just write it down, whatever thought it was. And then, of course, the virtual journal will timestamp it, sometimes even geologically stamp it, and you can really get a wonderful documentation of your trip and the things that you went through, because when you write stuff down, it's usually when crazy stuff happens, both the good and the bad, stuff that you usually don't take pictures of, but you encounter and go, whoa, what the heck just happened there? I have no idea. So a thought journal is really helpful for me. I love going through my thought journal and looking at how my mindset evolved over the course of the trip through little snippets here and there. And there's also just random memories that I would never remember and weren't even that significant, but gave a glimpse into the life that I was living for a long time. So thought journal, very, very good one. And the next one, of course, is the physical journal. The physical journal is extremely helpful. It does have the downside of taking up space in your pack, but the thing that it has over the virtual journal is you can save little pieces of paper, your train tickets, you can draw things, you can draw little sketches of where you are, what's happening, and you can get really creative with it. Now remember, when you're on the road for a long time, you have a lot of unconstructed free time that you can use to, yeah, like make your own journal and really get into the images, the visuals, what's happening, what your style is. And there's a little bit more flexibility when it comes to a physical journal than a virtual journal. Now, whatever you decide to do, I also forgot to mention that on top of the thought journal, having a monthly update is really, really beneficial, just because a high level view of what you are doing just, oh man, that flight was rough. This flight was awesome. We went here, we did this, we met this person. Having a high level view of names, places, just anything, just knowing what you were doing on a daily, weekly basis in one spot in a monthly review is really, really beneficial when looking back at the entire trip. And who knows, maybe you would just write down a little thing that triggers so much more memories about what you were doing in that space, because it can blend together. And having these writings, whether it be the thought journal, the monthly journal, or the physical journal, can really help you bring you back to particular moments and remember, really, really, really remember certain parts of your trip that you might not have otherwise. So I guess the moral of the story, and let's do a quick recap. That was a lot. So typical way to record the trip is with photos and videos. I'm challenging you guys to be a little bit more creative with your photos and videos. Really try to bring it into your home, out of those databases that they're all stored in, and put them on something really cool so you can see them every day. I know that these spaces are a little bit bare, but I'm hoping to put our own pictures too, and hopefully along with these videos you'll get to see these walls expand with more stuff, and really use those photos and videos. It's really important to get those memories into view and out of those databases. Objects are also a very good way to do that. You can see that on my wall. There's wall art, there's jewelry, there's fabrics, there's all kinds of physical objects that you can take that are unique from place to place, but also universal in category. And also journaling. Make sure you get your thoughts out of your head and onto paper or computer or phone. Either way, record them. Record your thoughts. You will really, really love that you recorded your thoughts. It's important. So that's, I guess, the point. Is get creative with your collecting. Get creative with the things that you collect from your travels, because it's such a wonderful way to bring it back with you and carry those memories with you on a daily basis. I know that when I'm looking at my Sri Lankan guy, I'm going to think of the wonderful times I had with Ranjit on the wonderful beaches of that little island off the coast of India. So thank you guys for listening. This has been another episode of the Ask Me Anything series about my travels. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and write them in the descriptions below. I love to hear your feedback on not only my upgraded wall space, which is fantastic, but also just anything else. Let me know. I love your feedback, and I hope to talk to you guys soon. Have a great Friday, and have a great weekend. See you later.